guys, welcome to Cycle 1, Week 14 Science Experiments. We have two experiments this week, sampler and spoon pen. I'm actually going to recommend that you do sampler first, followed by spoon pen. And the reason why is because here we're talking about rocks and earth, our earth and layers of the earth, and it will give us a chance to talk about the layers of the earth and what they're made of, and how we can see what is underneath the earth's surface, because of course we're very curious about what is down below us. How can we find out? Take a core sample, you bring that core sample up, and there's all sorts of rocks and minerals in there, and how can we begin identifying what those rocks and minerals are? And that really leads us into the spoon pen experiment number 125. So I think the conversation will flow more easily if we do it that way versus rocks and minerals and then the core, but either way will work. I just recommend a sampler followed by spoon pen. So for the sampler experiment, I recommend doing this also as a show and go, where you demonstrate the experiment, give them an opportunity to conduct it themselves, and then followed by spoon pen, where honestly I would do the same thing. I would do a demonstration of it and then allow them some free time with the materials. That way you're not managing all the kids the whole 30 minutes, but they're really getting the science experiment, and you're able to have some dialectic conversations versus trying to get every single pair of student or individual student to do the experiment correctly. So, sampler, how will we be set up? CC Livermore, we are going to have, you are each going to have your own baggie, and each baggie will have 3 different colors of clay pieces in there, and each student will take one of each color. Yes, there's enough for each student to have their own, and they will flatten them. Or you'll do this first as the demonstration, because there's enough in here for you and all of your students. So we flatten it, flatten the first layer, flatten the second layer, because we can talk about how there are layers of the earth. I don't remember new grammar. Remind me, ladies, new grammar, have we covered the layers of the earth, core, mantle, crust? Have we covered that yet? I'm not sure. But if we haven't, refer to that new grammar content. We can bring that up during this time because it will be very relevant. Okay, so here we have our layers. And we can talk about this is, it was round, but this is part of the surface of our earth, how it's in layers. And in order to find out what is in each of these layers, we will have pieces of straw, cut pieces of straw, and you will simply, can you see this? I hope you can see this. You will simply press down with the straw into the layer and then withdraw it. Oh, that's funny. I didn't go down deep enough, so I don't have any orange in here. So let's do that again. There's plenty of room to do this again. You know what? I think it was easier when I had a bigger straw. I cut these into pieces thinking that would work. Oh no, it's definitely easier with a larger straw. Okay, so we'll keep our straws larger. I won't cut them all. Ah, perfect. Let me show you what we've got. Can you see that? All 3 layers. My camera's having problems focusing on it, but I think you can still see it even though it's a little blurry. You can see the green, the gray, and the orange layer in there. So that's core sampling. And you will read in the Van Cleves about the captured clay is called a core sample. It reveals what materials are layered inside the block of clay. And coring, you can just read through the Van Cleves on the elements, or on the Y section, to just, that's enough to talk about in class. I like the metal core sampler has a plunger that pushes the soil out so it can be studied. Of course, that would be great if we had that. We might be able to push it out this way. I don't know. Maybe. I am not going to have scissors for us to cut open the straw and to pull the clay out. I'm just not going to have that. We have clear straws, and that should be good enough for this for the purpose of this experiment and to get the conversations started. And we can talk about, what do you think would be in a core sample of our Earth? Have you ever seen a core sample? On and on. And then we will go into the next experiment of spoon pen, talking about how we have rocks and minerals in our soil and in our layers of our Earth, and how can we begin to identify an unknown material. So we're not going to go, just remember, don't go in too deeply to this experiment, because we will have nearly 6 weeks next quarter where we go much deeper. Before I go on though, CC Livermore tutors, I would like you to save your clay, because we're going to be using it in another week. So if you could just, it doesn't have to be saved individually like I'm doing now. It can just be tossed right back in the baggie, all layered. That's totally fine, or even all combined. It doesn't matter. I'm just separating the layers so that Rennie does not have, she's not shorted one set. So make sure you put your clay back in there, because we're going to be using it again another week. All right, I need a spoon. Let me grab a spoon. So for this week, we are going to be identifying minerals. Here we go. This spoon. How can we identify an unknown mineral? And we'll talk about what a streak test is. And that we have a piece of unglazed tile here. This is a special tile called a streak plate. We'll just take the spoon and the tile and just run it on there. Can you see that? So it leaves a gray streak on this tile, and that is the color of the powdered mineral. And knowing the color of our powdered mineral is an important clue in identifying minerals. And then you will have some napkins, and you will just wipe off that streak. It comes right off. Each student will have their own streak tile, as well as their own materials, so that each student can do this individually. I still recommend that you demonstrate it first, or at least demonstrate the first material and then let them go hands-on. So here's the penny, which it may even be interesting if we had a real grimy penny that was all dark and black, those old ones, because then it will still show up with this copper hue of a streak, which you can't see, but you guys will remember it from the tutor meeting. And again, they'll have napkins there just to wipe that off. So while what we see on the outside can give us some indication, not all minerals or elements leave the same color streak on a tile as you observe, and that we will see that more in weeks 23, I think. And here's our galvanized nail. Just run that across, and it's gray, really similar to the spoon. And there you go. Please do make sure that you ask the students not to grind the nail in from the tip and score the tile, just because that makes it not as easy to use for the other students. And we'll be using these again in the next quarter. So that is the extent of how to run this experiment. Really straightforward, really simple. I think the kids will have fun with it and will enjoy getting hands-on with these materials. Again, we don't need to answer every question. We can still leave lots of wonder, knowing that we'll be going deeper as the weeks progress. So that is it. That's it for week 14, spoon, pen, and sampler. CC Livermore, we will be doing this in room 8, and we'll be sharing supplies for spoon, pen, and samplers. Each class will have their own supplies, and those will all be in the bin for you, all set up in class. So God bless you. Thank you for all the time and effort you put into preparing for our students, and I will see you on Friday.